If you clicked on this video, maybe a part of you is tired, not just physically tired. I'm talking about the kind of tired sleep doesn't fix. The kind of tired that comes from carrying too much for too long. Tired of pretending you're okay? Tired of smiling when you feel empty? Tired of watching everyone move forward while you feel stuck? Maybe you feel lost. Maybe life is not going the way you thought it would. Maybe you had plans, dreams, timelines, and somehow things didn't happen the way you imagined. Now you're here, wondering, what am I doing wrong? Why is everyone ahead of me? When will it finally be my turn? If that's you, this message is for you. I need you to stay with me until the end, because maybe, just maybe, this is the message you needed to hear today. Feeling stuck is one of the most frustrating feelings in the world. Because from the outside, life keeps moving. People are graduating, getting jobs, starting businesses, getting married, building the life you thought you'd already have. And then there's you, scrolling through your phone, watching everyone win. And slowly, comparison starts eating you alive. You begin measuring your life against theirs. She's younger than me, and already successful. He started after me and he's doing better. They seem to have everything figured out. And suddenly, your journey starts feeling like failure. But listen carefully. Just because someone is ahead of you in one area, doesn't mean you are behind in life. Life is not a race. You are not on the same timeline as everyone else. Some people bloom at 18, some at 25, some at 40. A seed planted today doesn't become a tree tomorrow. Growth takes time. And sometimes, the seasons where nothing seems to be happening are the seasons where your roots are growing deeper. I know it doesn't feel like progress, but not all growth is visible. Sometimes growth looks like getting out of bed when depression says don't. Sometimes growth looks like choosing peace over chaos. Sometimes growth looks like surviving another difficult day, and that matters. Stop calling yourself a failure because your path looks different. Different doesn't mean wrong. You are not late. You are becoming. There's another thing nobody talks about. Sometimes you're not stuck because you're lazy. You're stuck because you're overwhelmed, overthinking everything. Every decision feels heavy. Every step feels risky. What if you fail? What if people judge you? What if it doesn't work? So instead of moving, you freeze. And the longer you freeze, the more guilty you feel. But hear me, you do not need to have your whole life figured out. You only need the courage for the next step. Not step 50. Step 1. One small move. One application. One video upload. One decision. One boundary. One beginning. Small steps still move you forward. And forward is forward. Losing yourself. There is something even more painful than feeling lost, and that is slowly losing yourself while trying to fit into people's expectations. At some point in life, you start changing without noticing. You start shrinking your voice so you don't offend anyone. You start agreeing even when you don't feel right. You start laughing at things that don't feel funny. You start saying I'm fine when you are clearly not, just to keep the peace, just to be accepted, just to avoid being misunderstood. And little by little, you disappear inside yourself. Until one day, you wake up and don't even recognize who you've become. You look in the mirror and think, is this really me? People pleasing is dangerous because it feels like kindness. But it is actually self-abandonment. Because every time you ignore your intuition to make someone else comfortable, you are teaching yourself that your feelings don't matter. And over time, you start believing it. You start needing validation to feel okay. You start needing approval to make decisions. You start fearing rejection more than dishonesty with yourself. But let me tell you something important. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone deserves your energy. Not everyone deserves your time. Not everyone deserves your silence when you should speak. You are allowed to set boundaries, even if people don't understand them. Even if people call you proud or changed, because growth will always look like change to people who are used to the old version of you. And that is okay. You are not here to remain the same for people's comfort. You are here to become who you are meant to be. And sometimes that means outgrowing rooms you once begged to be accepted into. Pain, failure, and healing. Nobody talks enough about how heavy life can feel when things don't work out. When you try your best and still fail. When you give your all and still get disappointed. When you trust people and they let you down. It makes you start questioning everything. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not meant for this. Maybe I should stop trying. But failure is not proof that you are not enough. Failure is proof that you tried something real. People who never fail are usually people who never try. And I know healing is not linear. Some days you feel strong. Some days you fall back into old thoughts. Some days you feel like you've healed. And then suddenly you haven't. But that doesn't mean you're going backwards. Healing is not a straight line. It is messy. It is slow. It is unpredictable. But it is still happening. Even when you can't see it. Even when you don't feel it. And one day, you will look back and realize you survived things you thought would break you completely. You became stronger without even noticing. And that strength, that quiet strength, is what will carry you forward. Letting go. At some point, you will learn that holding on hurts more than letting go. Letting go of people. Letting go of expectations. letting go of versions of yourself that no longer fit who you are becoming. But letting go is not easy, because even toxic things feel familiar. Even painful relationships feel comfortable, because they are known. But not everything familiar is meant to stay. Some people are only meant to teach you lessons, not stay in your life. And closure is something many people wait for, but rarely receive. Sometimes, you will never get the apology. Sometimes, you will never get the explanation. Sometimes, you will never get the understanding you want. And you have to learn how to move forward without it. Because waiting for closure keeps you stuck in a story that has already ended. Letting go is not about forgetting. It is about accepting that your peace matters more than your past. And when you finally release what is not meant for you, you create space for what is. Rebuilding yourself. Now comes the hardest part, rebuilding. Because starting over sounds inspiring, until you actually have to do it. Rebuilding yourself means facing parts of you that you've been avoiding. Your habits, your excuses, your fears, your patterns. It means taking responsibility for your life. And that truth is uncomfortable. Because as long as we blame everything else, we never have to change. We blame timing. We blame people. We blame circumstances. We blame bad luck. And yes, sometimes life is genuinely unfair. Sometimes bad things happen that are not your fault. But healing requires asking a different question. Not why did this happen to me, but what do I do now? That question gives you power. Because you may not control everything that happens to you, but you control what happens next. You control the standards you set. You control the habits you build. You control the environment you stay in. And rebuilding starts small. It starts with discipline, not motivation. Motivation feels good. Motivation makes you excited for one day. But discipline changes lives. Discipline is choosing what matters most over what feels good now. It is getting up when you don't feel like it. Showing up when nobody is clapping for you. Continuing when progress feels invisible. That is where transformation happens, not in big dramatic moments. In ordinary repeated choices, the small choices, the ones nobody sees. Choosing to rest instead of self-destruct. Choosing to study instead of procrastinate. Choosing to protect your peace. Choosing to stop begging for bare minimum. Every small choice becomes identity, and identity shapes destiny. You become what you repeatedly do. So if you keep choosing yourself, one day you will wake up and realize you are no longer the version of you that accepted less. You are stronger now, wiser now, more grounded now. Not because life became easier, but because you became stronger. There's something else. Rebuilding also means forgiving yourself for the mistakes, for the red flags you ignored, for the times you abandoned yourself, for the opportunities you missed. You cannot heal while constantly punishing yourself. Yes, learn. Yes, grow. But stop speaking to yourself like an enemy. You deserve compassion too. You are human. You were doing the best you could with what you knew then. Now you know more. So move differently. Not with shame, with wisdom. I want to leave you with this. Maybe you feel lost right now. Maybe life feels heavy. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you feel like giving up. But hear me carefully. This chapter of your life is not the whole story. Read that again. This chapter is not the whole story. Just because things are hard now doesn't mean they will stay this way forever. Storms do not last forever. Pain does not last forever. Confusion does not last forever. And the version of you that exists today is not the final version of you. There is still more in you. More strength, more growth, more healing, more purpose. You have not missed your chance. You are not too late. You are not disqualified because you took longer. Life is not rewarding people based on speed. It rewards consistency. It rewards courage. It rewards those who keep going. So if all you can do today is take one step, take that step. If all you can do is survive today, survive. If all you can do is believe with 1% hope, hold on to that 1%, because even a tiny light can break darkness. And maybe, months from now, you'll look back at this version of yourself and smile. Not because everything became perfect, but because you didn't quit, because you stayed, because you kept going, because you chose yourself. And maybe, this moment right here, this exact moment, is the turning point. The moment you stop shrinking, the moment you stop waiting, the moment you stop begging for permission to become who you were meant to be. You do not need permission. You do not need perfect timing. You do not need everyone to understand. You only need one decision. The decision to begin again. So begin. Begin messy. Begin scared. Begin uncertain. Begin tired. Just begin. Because your future is not created by waiting. It is created by action. And I don't know who needs to hear this today, but I hope this reaches the right person. You made it this far. That already tells me something about you. There is still fight in you. There is still hope in you. There is still something inside you refusing to give up. Protect that. Feed that. Trust that. Your story is not over. In fact, it may just be beginning. If this message reached you at the right time, comment, "I'm not giving up," and mean it. Not for me, for yourself. I'll see you in the next video.